All right, this is video number 3. Uh, you notice now the burnt out element has 2 male spade lugs. That's what I remember. This thing that was on there and made it look like a female, that's what's left of the thing that goes on the wire up into the oven. I tried finding the wire, and I'm putting it off till tomorrow. I spent time on the internet going looking at pictures. And a lot of them, when they do these 2 connections here, they don't go into great detail. They don't really zoom in on it because uh, they're all the same. They're 2 male, but I was looking at mine because I had this thing on here. Yeah, my nails are long, and it's very loose because it has seen some action or heat when the thing was failing. I shut the oven off. I was right next to the oven. I shut it off as fast as possibly human. And then as I'm searching, also I'm finding this element can be as cheap as $19. Right now with shipping, uh, I paid over 100. But mine is the one it's in the other room for safekeeping. I have a genuine GE replacement, and the number cross references. But I kept looking at this without my glasses on, and I kept saying one side's a female. And trust me, when you get older, you start doubting yourself. I think the last video I might have mentioned, I went over to Walmart. I got the chicken. All right, so on the way back or on the way over, there were people sit in the cars and they wait for the inspector to come or the guy to give them the test for the driving. And I'll see them and I'll say, look, they're not open on Monday. There's people back there and they're using the parking test thing to practice. And other people see that and they think, oh, they must be open. Well, they're not open. They're open. If you go around and look in the windows, you'll see in the doors and that you'll see people in there, but they don't give the test on Monday. So I mentioned to someone, and they started arguing with me that it was Tuesday. And when you get old, you're not really, trust me, if someone calls your bluff on what day it is, you're not really sure. And I'm going, no, it's Monday. They're closed on Monday. They're closed on Sunday and Monday, but they're open on Saturday. And I stop and I talk to people taking the test. I always kid the people that you're going to need another car. I have a whole routine. But anyway, that's what I'm finding about people and stuff. And before I called this company up and screamed at them that they sent me the wrong unit, I said, well, let me pull the wire out from the oven and see what the hell kind of connections on there. If there is a connection, maybe there was an adapter in there. Maybe, no. The piece from the oven up inside is right here. I just want to show you that. These are both male spade lugs. The number is WB30X46987. It's got another number, which is, the old number was WB44K1005. That's what my old number was. And then, like I said, when I saved the email to this company, and I clicked on the part. It's like reorder it again. Clicked on the part. They sent me this, and I was like freaking out that they sent me the wrong part, but they didn't. What happened? I told you about tying the when you disconnect before you disconnect the wires from the element. Tie pieces of twine on them, so if the wire pops away from you and goes up into the oven, you'll be able to retrieve it. And of course, when I started pulling mine out, the wire, when it self-destructed, it might be all melted. But I will follow this through, even if the wire's melted. Pull the oven out. Hopefully, I can get in there somehow. And then what's funny, the company that sells this element has a video how to install it, and the guy's installing it on a cabinet where they removed the cook plate on the top, the cook plates. He's just leaning over the side of the oven and he's showing you how it goes in and there. I'm like, yeah, there's a real video. That's why I wasn't going to shoot a video with me climbing inside the oven because at my age it hurts to go down there, get your knees on the towel, and it's harder than they make it. If you're younger age I'm not that overweight now. I've slowly got the weight off, but in other words, it's not an easy thing. Yes, you undo two screws, you pop two connections, you put the new one in, put the connections back on, put the screws back in, the element's done. All right, that's bullshit. That's how it goes when you're younger, and everything works perfectly. But life is not perfect, you know. But I had enough of this thing. Like I went out food shopping again just to make sure I have enough food. So if I don't get the oven fixed right away, I'll be able to eat. See, there's more to life than this. See, when you have a wife, you say, look, the oven's not going to be fixed for a couple of days. You hop in the car and go bring back food that can be microwaved. All right, that's it. No, when you're by yourself and you don't have a car, there's a shortcut. It's not that far to Walmart. And then, of course, Walmart, the people that are putting stuff away are getting real sloppy. You got all these people that pick people's orders now. They're zooming around. It was like a bad video game this morning. You know, I'm frustrated. There's people that push the cart around and they're daydreaming. And it was real bad for that. And I'm walking around, and the other thing too is the people leave the cart up against the door, so you can't open them and get inside. You leave the cart in the middle of the aisleway. You walk over, you open the door, get your stuff, close the door, put it in your cart, and go. But that's not how people are anymore. And it didn't look like there was a lot of people in Walmart. But like I said, I went and got food. I'm thinking ahead, because what if it rains tomorrow? What if it this and what if it's that? Now, I'm thinking the wire that comes off this might be melted. You know, I've gone through this stuff in life, man. Like, I had a J2000 and Pontiac. I think it was a Pontiac. Yeah, assholes. They wound the copper wire right on the armature. There was no coating, no nothing. And when you turn if you turned on the fan for the air conditioner or whatever, when the car would start to warm up, it would get hot, and the fan would come on, and then it would blow the fuse if you were lucky, but it didn't. It blew the fusible link in the car because they wound the motors without fish paper or whatever you want to call that paper underneath the copper, between the copper and the armature. Right, now, when I went in the auto store, as soon as I come through the door, the guy started laughing. And he went in the back and he got me the motor that they should have put in the freaking car. It was a fan motor to cool the car. He knew right away. He goes, yeah. He says, they did a whole batch of the motors, and they wound the armature, the copper, right into the laminations on the armature, and it cut into them, and they shorted out. And he says, you didn't lose the fuse, did you? I said, no, I lost something else. He goes, you lost the fusible link. It's down in the chassis, and it doesn't unclick. You're gonna have to put what do you call terminals or squeeze terminals. And he says you'll find it, and it'll have a hole burnt into it. And he was absolutely right. They found it, and that's when I should have got rid of the car, because when I overheated, because the fan never came on, the block warped. It was an aluminum block engine, and once again, Pontiac, you suck. The way I see it, you owe me a car. What I went through with that stupid thing. Yeah, it's a game. The game is make it cheaper. Make it cheaper. Now, in this case, I went with Amazon because I thought paying $89 was too much for the element. And you go around, you find it for $19, $25, and then the real company with the real element, $89. And I had one of those. It lasted 5 years, and I didn't feel like that was long enough. So anyway, my bad. I went cheap. I got burned, and now I might have more work on the oven than I expected. Now, if I pull that wire out and it's not burnt, I do have a lug. Okay, that'll fit. Same, almost identical. This is what's missing, minus the plastic piece. But see, you can see it now, right? You can see what I'm going through. Life is never easy for me, and all I do is help other people. And then, of course, the people I'm helping, they can't help me. They don't know what I know, and they're always like, "Well, maybe I could come over there and help you." Like the one guy one time, uh, he had a problem with his dryer. Dryer's not drying right. I said, "Yeah, you got a lint buildup." So he unplugged the dryer, and him and the crazy lady that he lived with were hanging their clothes outside. And he, for some reason, he just got hung up. He wouldn't even. I said, all you have to do is pull the dryer forward, pull the tube off the back, the vent, and see if it's clogged. He wouldn't do it. And then he had a guy come out and look at the dryer to put a new one in there. And the guy says the new ones are bigger, it won't fit. And I kept saying to him, you don't have to call an appliance repair guy. Just pull the dryer out and undo the duct work and see if it's clogged. And if it is, I'll come over and No, no, right until he died. He was getting weird. I think the cancer from lung cancer was actually in his brain. But this is what I deal with. And when I have a problem, I'm like, I'm by myself. And that's why I do these videos. So if you run into the same problem I ran into, you won't think you're losing your mind. You know, with this piece on here, and you look at it real quick, my eyesight's going. You look real quick, that's a female. Okay? And I'm like, how can I get it? I don't remember. I remember this. I remember that. And I got one of those, brand new. What the? I'm like, the connection that goes on here must have a male and a female. And I didn't notice it. You know, you don't remember every repair. But I'm walking to that. I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure this is what I had. How did I have a female suddenly? And I'm like thinking, did I do something special? And I can't remember. No, the wire, the terminal terminated itself, and that's all that's left. And see how easy it goes on? No, my nails are too long. I keep forgetting to cut them. I'm going in circles here with stuff because this should have been fixed, and I should have got 5 years out of it. And little by little, you know, other people's garbage. My fence blew over, and I'm trying to get the nails to put the fence back together, and they're called ring shank, and they come in a cartridge for a nail gun. You can't buy them separate. So I went up to the lumber yard, and I got there, and they're not open on Saturday. That should have been the key to in my mind. Don't go back there. They're not open on Saturday. So I went back there another day. I went in, and I'm talking to the guy, and we go over to the nails section. I said, dude, there's more nails in Walmart. Well, what they do is when they have a builder, the builder orders the nails for the nail gun, and he orders the lumber, and then they get it together, and then they bring it over to him. They don't sell nails. They do sell nails to the public, but they were down to what they have now. And this guy's trying to sell me these giant nails for like doing framing in the house. I said, dude, this is a fence. Well, you could use it. I said, dude, it's a fence. I said, why they use ring shank nails is so they don't pull out, because the wood they make fences with is so crappy. When it gets wet, it warps. And you have to have a really good nail on there or it'll pull the nails out. And I said to the guy, I've learned too many things. And then when I go to buy the parts, you can't get them anymore. See, I can buy the nails, and then I have to sit there and cut the nails. And they're woven with this metal stuff that feeds it through the thing. And the nail goes in, and this cartridge drops to the ground. It looks like a bunch of wires. So I have to buy the nails as a cartridge, and then cut the nails free of this twine crap. It's metal. And I have to do nothing's simple anymore. Now, I told you the one guy was sending me a combiner. I have a combiner. The reason I used a splitter backwards is I added a third antenna on there. I did all the tests. The splitter I have is not really a splitter for people. It's for the front end of a cable TV company. It's real high quality. It's better quality than the combiners that you can buy. And I got the 3 antennas to work without phase problems and all that. I told you all the tricks. I told you I did it. I did the work. And yeah, I could do a real professional video on it and put a bow tie and sit there with my nails cut perfectly and no dirt in my nails and a little suit on. And that's not who I am. I do the work, and then when I see something that I've gone nuts with, I then do the video to show you, watch out for this, watch out for that. Now on this heating element, the big watch out is when you pull the element away from the wall. You undid the 2 little quarter. The head on the screws are quarter 20. When you pull it ahead, you make sure that when you get it out a little bit, you tie twine to the wires that go up into the thing, so you don't lose them. They don't do that on the video because they got a fixture that if it goes bad, they just stop the camera and they re-roll it. That's what they did, okay? So you do it, and now one of the wires jumps loose, goes up into the back of the, up into the insulation, and then you take the back off of the stove, and you still can't get to that wire. And then you got to find the wire with like a piece of coating or whatever. But I was trying to warn you ahead of time because I had to go through this again. The last time I didn't do a video because it went smoothly, and I wasn't thinking that way. In other words, this is a nothing problem. Yeah, but the one trick is if you lose one of those wires and it jumps up inside the insulation, good luck finding it. I poked around a little bit today. That's it. It's tomorrow. This was a, why do I see a male and female connection? Why? I was losing my marbles, and then I'm walking over there. The person's telling me today's Tuesday, and I'm like, oh God, because you get old, you're not sure of yourself. And I'm looking at this thing, and I see a female and I see a male, and I don't remember that. And they sent me with one with 2 males, and I said, and then part of me says, don't call up and yell at them. Go find the wire. And then I didn't even I couldn't find the wire. I come back, I'm looking at it, I'm like, I took the pliers and this stupid thing came right off. Because it saw some heat. Or some current, let's put it that way. I think that's it. I think, what is this part? This is part 3 now. And I'll let you know how I make out. That wire could be fried. And then I'm going to have to take the clock assembly apart with the timer. And that wire comes up from inside the stove, goes up to the relay. You can hear the relay kicking in now. So it goes to a relay, and then I'm going to have to replace that wire. And it's not real thick wire. It's not like that because they're using high voltage but low current. Then if you had it at 120, at 120 you'd have to have twice the current. The wires would be twice as thick, or maybe 4. I don't know. The wires would be thicker. I'm not going to. Someone says, when you go down there, the center conductor, what was it? The cross section. Yeah, the cross section. They have all these buzzwords that people throw at you. They've never done anything. They never got their hands dirty, and I had to deal with those people. And the one guy used to say to me, he was a pain in the ass himself, but he showed me this one guy's magazine articles, and it was like Popular Electronics, which I wrote for elementary electronics. I did an article and computer craft. Well, anyway, this guy shows me this guy's articles, and he showed me. He says, "Look how smart this guy is." I said, "All right, what's the catch?" He says, "He brings me his radios and televisions. He screws them all up." I said, "Yeah. He's a writer. He gets you all excited about a project. He takes really nice pictures, or have someone else take the pictures, and he writes it all up. And you look at it and you dream. And in my case, I'd actually build the stuff. And then later on, I got published twice. And then I had I invented and built and sold plans for a crank organ and the CNC machines. Oh, and the moose loop antenna. Yeah, it just goes on and on and on. But when I have a problem, it's always wacky. And I saw a female connection there. Sorry, I was melting down. I'm like, and I knew. And I went and took a nap. And I'm going to tell you, when I went to take that nap, I didn't want to wake up. I've had enough. I'm telling you, I've had enough with what's going on in the country, who's running the country. Won't go in that. Don't want to get political because I am neither a Democrat or a Republican, but I do vote in the presidential, and I didn't pick the wrong person. Trust me, I didn't pick the wrong person because I remember the person's first term, what the person did. I realize other people don't really pay attention. They just, it's the car commercial. They keep repeating back the car. The worst I ever had was the Kirby vacuum cleaner. It's too heavy for people. It lasts forever if you properly service it. Every time I went to fix one for an old person, they would keep repeating to me what the salesman told them. And I said, one more time, this thing will last forever if you get it properly serviced. This unit's never been serviced. There's no bristles left on the beater bar. There's no, and the person will, well, that's a lot of money. Well, stop telling me it lasts forever if you've never had it serviced. All right, I can do this, this, and this for you. Oh, that's a lot of money. All right, I'm leaving now. I'm going. And then 2 weeks later, I cried everybody else, and they want way more money than you. I want you. No, lady, I'm not coming up to your house. You already took enough of my time that even if I had fixed the vacuum, I would have not made any money. And I did that with lawn mowing. I mowed people's lawns, and they would get up to the door, and they would say something like, I've gone with a cheaper guy. All right, okay, fine. It would be nice if you called me up. So anyway, I go home, and 2 weeks later, the person called me. Oh, can you come back? That guy doesn't show up. Yeah, he doesn't show up. He had no insurance. Yeah, the whole thing. And I'm doing it. I'm paying the insurance. I got the sales tax. I had to go through an accountant. Yeah, I had the whole thing. And then every time I started to come ahead on mowing people's lawns, the car would break down. I had to put the car in. Always $1,000 in New Jersey, no matter what's wrong with the car. Now, what was actually wrong with the car? All the years I had it was the wire that went to the computer. They never crimped it. So if you went over a certain type of bump or a certain type of vibration, the computer would reset. It had to go back to the dealer and retrain it. All right. So I had a car for 8 years that I couldn't count on, and you could ride it around, and back in those days they had it did beep codes, but they didn't have the unit you could drive around with it, and it would tell you power disappeared off the main bus or whatever. Back in those days, they didn't have that. It was in the computer that read your car was stationary, and I always have these weird problems, right? And like I said, I have people tell me what time they want me to come over and pick their garbage up. Well, I've been sitting out here, and I'm like, yeah. I said, well, what time do you walk by here? I'm retired. I go out different times. Well, I was sitting out here waiting for you to come by and get the garbage. I'm like, I'm doing it for freaking free, and it's not even it's not even it's a second person's garbage. It's a really involved story, and I can get myself into trouble with people, and I'm trying to be nice. It doesn't work. I don't have I have people skills, but not that kind, and that's what I'm going through. But man, did this have me fooled? Okay, and I'm looking at this and I'm like, that really discolored. Yeah, I was a female and a male. I think that's it. All right, that's it. Hope it helped you.